What is going on, everyone? Mets Talk with Hayden J here. What's going on, everyone? I appreciate everyone for tuning into today's stream. What's going on, everyone? Great day going on. Not much to talk about in the world of baseball for the New York Mets. There is, to an extent, quite a bit going on in baseball. We know that there is talk with, the CBA and the potential lockdown, and that is making everyone nervous, which is understandable. But in terms of the Mets, the day-to-day player operations, pretty quiet. The executive standpoint has been very, very busy. So we are going to be going over what's going on in Mets world, what's going on in baseball world, and of course, your guys' comments, questions, and concerns. So if you guys have any comments, questions, or concerns, don't hesitate. Please feel free to drop them in the comment section below. Before we get started into today's stream, please, everyone, smash that like button, turn on those post notifications, subscribe to the channel if you're not already. Drop an LFGM or whatever team you support in the chat. Tell your friends about this channel so we can get out there, so we can have more great interactions in the comments section, which I love the viewership. And of course, we've been getting a lot of good comments recently. So that really means a lot. So pretty much, yeah. So I guess let's stop wasting any time and let's get into the world of baseball. Why not? Let's get into the world of baseball. All right. So, as we know, with the New York Mets, it has been, to an extent, pretty quiet. We know that on Sunday, it will be the deadline for players to accept or decline the qualifying offer. I think the biggest thing that we could talk about in Mets world right now is what happened with Michael Conforto and his agent, Scott Boras. We know Scott Boras gave a pretty lengthy, numerous press conferences in regards to his client, Michael Conforto. As we know, he pretty much stated that Conforto will be hopefully trying to shoot for some big bucks. Some big bucks. So we're going to have to see, is Michael Conforto really worth that? He pretty much, as we know, labeled him the King of Queens. That is what he labeled him, which kind of caused some controversy, some outroar in regards to everyone else. Personally, regardless if I think he's the King of Queens or not, that's a whole other story. But pretty much that's really what was all said and done. So yeah, and obviously Scott Boras also represents some guys like Chris Bryant, Bryce Harper. So, he was giving some guys that literally, to an extent, are free agents. So that went on. Pretty much we know in terms of the Mets, Sandy Alderson pretty much refuted the idea that the luxury tax would pretty much limit the team's spending this offseason. We know that was a big question last offseason on how much could they spend, who could they go after, who could they not go after. And pretty much he stated this during the GM meeting and pretty much said the Mets have a huge payroll for the upcoming season and they're not scared of the luxury tax. So that is pretty good to see, pretty good to hear. I'm all for it. Really good to see. We know that they have also had some talks with Javier Baez. We know that the Mets and Javier Baez are hoping to have talks. That will be something very important. We know that the Mets and Javier Baez are looking for a deal. And of course, depending on how much Baez gets, which doesn't even seem like to be the issue anymore, because it really does seem that the Mets are willing to give Javier Baez, to an extent, a big enough deal that it won't affect the luxury cap or the tax. We know he will likely be going on the market as a shortstop. So that'll definitely amp up his prices, which makes sense. I think a lot of guys would honestly do that. Yeah, I think it's honestly the most smart thing to do if you're, a free agent, to try and bring up the market. I think it really makes the most sense. So yeah, honestly, really good to see, really good to see. So yeah, we'll see what he goes on with him. We know that Aaron Loop has had expressed an interest with the Mets and Phillies. We know the Phillies had one of the worst bullpens, historically terrible, in 2020 and 2021. I think they had like 25 blown saves in, I think, the matter of like 3/2, so not very good. And we know that Adam Cromie, I believe that is how you pronounce his name, pretty much had stated that the Mets would potentially be looking into him. So we're going to have to see how that really goes about, yeah, we'll see. Otherwise, Mets news is pretty quiet for the most part. We know that the Silver Slugger Awards were pretty much being given out. We know that Jacob deGrom did not win, which it's tough to see, but hey, you know what? That's how baseball goes. You know, it's tough. It'll go for certain guys. It won't. We know that Max Fried won the Silver Slugger Award, so good for Max Fried. He was the best guy out there in terms of offense for pitching. And what's really crazy is this will be the last time, supposedly, that the award happens. Most likely, as of right now, the designated hitter spot will be coming back to the National League for 2022. So we're just going to have to see, will that exactly, I guess, mean no more reps for Jacob deGrom at the dish? So that's kind of good because I think if you look at it, we know that Jacob deGrom really was injury prone for the most part because of that. So yeah, otherwise, Mets news is pretty quiet around baseball. We know that the CBA and the luxury cap thing has been very talked about. We know that the CBA, it is expiring this offseason, so they will be replacing the salary arbitration with a determined salary for arbitration-eligible players. So yeah, obviously, we know that is going to be very interesting. So otherwise, that's really it, honestly, in terms of in terms of the Mets. It's been pretty quiet. The Mets signed Starling Marte. I believe, yeah, I think, didn't they also sign Derek Jeter? Yeah, I don't think they signed Starling Marte, my friend. I wish they did. Starling Marte is a guy that, like, I kind of don't know if I would necessarily want them to sign. Just because the age limit, I think it depends what you're going to give Starling Marte. But for the most part, I probably wouldn't really go after him. He's 33 years old. That's to an extent pretty old for a guy that you would want to lock down on an outfield deal. For the most part, Starling Marte is a guy who could easily, I mean, he's better than I feel most outfield situations. However, Starling Marte, I don't really know. Let's take a look-see on Twitter. Let's see what's going on in the world of Twitter. Yeah, nothing on Twitter, my friend, so I don't know what to tell you. Yeah, Twitter seems pretty quiet for the most part. Yeah. We know Justin Verlander has been potentially trying to have talks. The Giants extended Gabe Kepler, so that was a pretty coincidence that I wore this hat today. Gabe Kepler, really honestly astonishing that he was really able to turn around this team. So yeah, really, really interesting to see that Gabe Kepler was really able to turn down the San Francisco Giants. Obviously, Gabe Kepler, in my opinion, had a better team in Philadelphia, and look what he was able to do. He really turned a lot of these guys in San Francisco to better stuff. So yeah, we're going to have to see how that goes. But yeah, let's get into some of your guys' comments. We're going to keep it a short stream today. Not much going on. I just wanted to come on here, say what's up to you guys, get some content pumping out. AB, what's going on? What's going on? John, Geo, Trey, Geo, YouTube Productions. What's going on, dude? Should the Mets go after David Stearns, says Devin. So this is my thing with David Stearns. David Stearns is a guy that I would love the Mets to have. However, he's not going to leave the Brewers organization for another year or two. So you have to look at it logically. The Mets, do you really want to have another placeholder president of baseball operations for another year or two? I don't. If you do, that's fine. I don't want the Mets to have another placeholder for the president of baseball operations. You have to look at it like this. If the Mets have another placeholder, the Mets have had 3 GMs in 12 months. They have had 5 managers in 5 years. I want the Mets to get someone that they could keep for the long term. I'll give Steve Cohen the first year. Listen, he didn't know Jared Porter would, do this stupid sexual assault stuff. He didn't know Zach Scott would get drunk behind the wheel. I get that. You're not going to be involved in everyone's personal life. I get that. But you know what? The Mets, they got to be smarter during the interview process. We'll just say that. Overall, I think the Mets are going to have to try and hold someone on that they could keep for the longer route. Obviously, looking at it like this, like I said, we've had these guys for, such a long amount of time. I'm joking. The Mets haven't had guys for a long amount of time. We had Brody Van Wagenen. The Mets really jumped around. So the fact is, I want the Mets to get someone here for the long term. And look what it does to the player's point of view, to the clubhouse point of view, to the chemistry, even to the contract point of view. You keep replacing your boss. Well, look, what is that going to do to the team? It's a whole different agenda. It's a whole different dialogue that they want going on. You can't keep changing what goes on with this team, whether it's the chemistry, contract. Certain guys, they may be willing to give Baez $200 million, where another guy may come in and say, heck to the no, I'm not giving this dude, whatever he wants to give him. But that's not the point. I would love the Mets to go after David Stearns, but I'm not waiting 2 more years. If he was on the market right now and said he would be willing to come to New York and leave Milwaukee, I'd say, sure, absolutely, go for it. But yeah, I'm just not waiting this long. And and listen, I understand everyone wants to fire Sandy Alderson. That's great. I want Sandy Alderson out too. But let me ask you this. The people that want Sandy Alderson fired right now, who's going to take a spot right now? Who would take a spot right now? You have no general manager. You have no other president of baseball operation. You have no manager. So, Sandy Alderson is pretty much running 75% of the team, if not for the analytical crew, Steve Cohen, whatever. So let's say the season were to start right now. Who would be making the decision? Sandy Alderson and Steve Cohen? And that's the issue. And listen, I get that Steve Cohen brought in Sandy Alderson to gain favoritism, gain popularity. Sandy Alderson was a very well-known, very respected guy. He was in Major League Baseball for pretty much longer than I think all of us have been alive for combined. So yeah, I respect that. He did that. It's great. But now I think he was just using him to try and just gain leverage on the MLB owners. Well, that time is done. I think he has, to an extent, the leverage with the owners. He's the owner. Yeah, and I just think right now there's really nothing else to say with that. So I'd have no problem with getting rid of Sandy once you have someone, and the Mets have no one in place right now. So it's really tough. It really is. Kobe, what's going on? Appreciate you tuning in, man. As always, what's going on? Let's go Mets. Baseball is mayor. What's going on? Mets should sign Starling Marte for 4 years, yay or nay? Nah, personally, I don't really think the Mets are going to go after Starling Marte, to be honest with you. I think if you have to look at it like this, Starling Marte is a guy who... Let's take a little look-see at Starling Marte. So, Starling Marte is a guy who was traded this past trade deadline. He was with the Miami Marlins, and then he went to the Oakland Athletics. My opinion, I think he played much better with the Oakland Athletics. He's a guy who definitely could provide some versatility in the outfield. You could put him in center field. If there's a day where you give someone off, you could put him in the corners. That's cool. That works with me. Overall, you have to be cognizant. He's 33 years old. He's another righty bat, which I guess is a benefit, but he's 33 years old. So, you want to give this dude, 4 years. So let's do some basic math. 34, 35, 36, 37. Do you really want to give an outfielder that's 37 years old to an extent the contract? How much you give him, I don't care about that right now. In terms of his player performance, I don't think he's terrible. You have to look at it like this. He's a guy who can hit fastballs, something that the Mets cannot do. He has a batting average of .335 on fastballs, an expecting batting average of .296, slugging of .477, and expected slugging of .460. So he really outdid himself with fastballs this season. He has a WOBA of .387. It's above average. Yeah, he's a guy who 82nd percentile for outs above average, so we see the defense is there. He's not so much good. He's not so much notorious for hitting the ball hard contact, barrels. Struggles with that a little bit. But one thing he gave the Athletics as well as the Marlins this season was stolen bases. He had 47 stolen bases, which is something that we do not see very often. And the Mets, they do not have much speed on this team. They pretty much have some guys that can hit for some pop, and then pretty much just get base hits and walks. Otherwise, Mets don't have many guys that are notorious for stealing bases. Obviously, yes, you brought in Javier Baez. Yes, you brought in Francisco Lindor. Don't get me wrong, Jeff McNeil could definitely steal a couple bases. Who else do we have on this list? Yeah, Jeff McNeil could definitely steal a couple bases when healthy. If the Mets re-sign Michael Conforto, he definitely can. Overall, I think that's really the only benefit of it. So yeah, I don't know. We're gonna have to see how that goes. But overall, I'm gonna say no. Yes, 4 years. What's going on, Stoney? Appreciate you tuning in. Kobe says it's harsh to see DeGrom not win a Silver Slugger award, but I would say he can next year. I don't think he will bat next year. Yeah, because the DH will be coming to the National League. Yeah, that is something that has pretty much been stated. Yeah, it kind of does suck, not going to lie. Kind of unfortunate to see, but hey, you know what? It's how baseball works. They're going to get rid of they're going to get rid of pitchers hitting, and honestly, I think that's probably the best thing. Personally, I'm for the DH. I think, the Mets have so many options for DH that it really benefits the Mets. If the Mets were in the opposite case, they did not have many guys that could play, then I realistically would say I don't care for the DH. But once Jacob deGrom got hurt, that made me literally say, I'm done with pitchers hitting, bring in the DH. Why should a pitcher's job is to pitch. If he wants to hit, swing the bat, that's great. But the increase for injury will go up, and we saw it. We saw it happen to Adam Wainwright like 5 years ago, where he tore his ACL when running to first base. Jacob deGrom was injured every other day this season. And why should we have to focus that? DeGrom's job is to pitch. I mean, it's a joke, and it's sad that he has to be the RBI creator. I really do. However, I just don't want that to be pretty much the determination of everything. So, personally, I am for the designated hitter spot. I think it's important, and I think it will definitely come to the National League. And it also helps with lineup construction, in the postseason, or honestly anywhere. If you go to an American League ballpark or it's an interleague game at a National League ballpark, you don't have to worry about, constructing your lineup differently, which, yes, you can construct your lineup as much times as you want, but I think it definitely helps managers out quite a lot. Connor, what's going on? Appreciate you tuning in. Vientos or Beatty? It's obviously Vientos is the one that has more time. This is the thing. Vientos is the guy that will likely be called up sooner, where I think Beatty is the guy that has more hype around him. Brett Beatty is amazing. In the minor leagues, we see he could hit for some power. He could hit the other way. He'll hit for some power the other way. Defensively, he could work on his defensive metrics a little bit more. But from the offensive standpoint, he uses the whole field. I like what I see from him offensively. Great eye coordination at the plate. I mean, this dude is, 20 years old. And, the on-base percentage, the slash line really shows that he is very mature. And he's not an amateur at the plate. He really knows what he's doing. Defensively, he needs some time to work. I get that. That works with me. No issue with that. Yeah. Otherwise, no issue with that. Yeah. In terms of Mark Vientos had a killer season in the Mets minor league. Honestly, I think he was probably the best minor league player this season around Major League Baseball. There was something with his stats that if I could try and pull it up, I will, but I don't think I had it saved. So if you guys could stand by for one moment, it'd be appreciated. So there was one thing that I saw, a stat. Yeah, so Mark Vientos had 25 home runs, which was first among minor leaguers. His slugging percentage was .581, first among Mets minor leaguers. 63 RBIs, a .281 average, a .933 OPS, and 43 extra base hits. That is a marvelous season for a minor leaguer who is, really just trying to get into the grit of things, really trying to bring himself up. Both of these guys will probably be expected to be called up 2023, 2022. I have no issue with that. That's great, but I think you have to look at it for the most part. And it comes to question is, do you focus on the now with the Mets, or do you focus on the future? So this is my saying. If the Mets this offseason go for a cheap third baseman or, a small deal or a rental. So pretty much if the Mets don't go after Bryant, Correa, or Chapman, then that pretty much means that they are relying on either Brett Beatty, Mark Vientos, or Ronnie Mauricio to really provide stuff for them. And I would listen. I'm not saying that Beatty and Vientos aren't going to break out. I'm just saying that I don't want to have full trust in a minor leaguer yet, is because we don't know what they could do. I'm not saying that they're going to call up and be the next, failed prospect. I'm not saying that. It's just you can't fully rely on, even when they're at the major league level. When Beatty or Vientos get called up, you can't rely on them, the first 2 years. I mean, there's only so many rookies that come up and have a direct impact. Will the Mets have another Pete Alonso who's going to come up and smash 53 home runs and over 100 RBIs, win the home run derby, be the rookie of the year, all-star? Maybe. I don't know. It's not very often. I mean, will we see, our Adolis Garcia rookies where they'll have a great first half and then kind of quiet out in the second half? I don't know. That's definitely a possibility that we could see around Major League Baseball. And that's the thing about the farm system, in that it's the Major League level and the minor league level is so different. We saw Khalil Lee, his small sample size with the Mets when he was called up in May and when he played in Miami. He was not making much major league contact. And then he goes down to the minor league, and what does he do? He rakes. So that's really one big thing that I think is really just questionable itself with the farm system, and that's what makes it great. That's really what makes baseball great. So overall, you're asking me who is more of the hype on? It's easily Brett Beatty. Who's going to have a bigger direct impact quicker? It's probably going to be Mark Vientos. However, Ronnie Mauricio is a guy who realistically I think is good trade bait for the Mets. You've been looking at the stats he's been giving you, and it's really good. And I understand the Mets, they're coming off 2 GMs ago where they literally traded away half their farm system. You traded away most of your pitching prospects. Jared Kelenic, which was a big eyesore. Personally, I think Jared Kelenic is going to have a breakout season. I honestly think he is going to have a breakout season, in my opinion. Next season with the Mariners, I could easily see him winning Rookie of the Year. So yeah, honestly, you got to be cognizant with your farm system. You can't just go around tearing them away. And listen, I get that. That's something that, is a simple mistake. Any guy could play terrible in the minor league, get called up, and have a burst out season. So personally, all my hype is on me. Mets signed Marte for 3 years. Really? I don't know. That's good. If Stroh goes, I would like to see them sign Robbie Ray or Kevin Gausman. Also, the Mets need a good leadoff hitter. Nimmo is okay, but he's not the answer. Really? Okay, that's a hot take there, Trey. Yeah, I mean, we know there was some talk with the Mets before the season started last time, questioning, do you have Brandon Nimmo lead off, or do you have Francisco Lindor lead off? Or there was some even talk about having Jeff McNeil lead off. Personally, I like Nimmo leading off. You don't see many guys that are table setters, and I think he is really just the best table setter in Major League Baseball. I think he's a guy who goes up to the plate and he'll get on base, whether it's a walk, a hit that results in an error, a hit. Nimmo's the type of guy who stated in all of his press conferences that he doesn't want to waste an at-bat. He feels that if he gets out, it's wasting an at-bat, which I guess is a good mentality depending on how you look at it. Yeah, you just have to look at how you look at that. Personally, in terms of self-esteem and morale, I probably don't think it's the best thing. But yeah, I mean, it's something to, I don't know, definitely, I guess, look at. Marcus Stroman, yeah, if Marcus Stroman goes, you're definitely going to need to be looking for another pitcher, 100%, Trey. You would like to see them sign Robbie Ray. Robbie Ray is a guy who I think will probably stay, in my opinion, with the Toronto Blue Jays. I mean, the Toronto Blue Jays would be absolutely nuts to pass off on Robbie Ray. I understand. Do I think he'll have another Cy Young contending season? I don't know. We've seen a lot of that throughout Major League Baseball history where a lot of these guys will, especially in their 30s, he's 30 years old. That's prime age. That's good. We know how a lot of particular guys come out of pitchers once they get into that 30 age. Robbie Ray had a historical season for his career. I mean, 13-7 win-loss record, 2.84 ERA, 1.04 WHIP. I mean, we really saw all of his, stats were there. Yeah, I mean, a lot of the contact he was giving up was weak. He limited barrels like crazy. 93rd percentile for strikeout. I mean, his pitch selection, he really mixes his pitches well. The fastball slider combination really works well. And, maybe he could, in his later half career, he could definitely be a bullpen pitcher. Fastball and slider combinations are great, are really great combinations to have as a reliever. He does have the curveball he uses occasionally as his put-away pitch. Been effective. I mean, 75% of his put-away pitches were strikeouts on the curveball. That's great to see. But historical season for Robbie Ray in his career. A lot of the contact he was giving up, I mean, didn't really have much of a launch. It was, weak contact. Overall, great season. We know he was bounced around. Really just for the Diamondbacks to the Blue Jays. And you didn't really think much of him. The Blue Jays, I mean, they needed pitching this last season, and they got Robbie Ray. They didn't think he'd be anything crazy, just the guy to eat up innings. And, I mean, he really changed things around. Really good to see. I mean, Robbie Ray would definitely be a guy I would like, potentially as a third starter maybe. Do I think he'll have another great season? I don't know, but I definitely think he could definitely provide some eliteness. In terms of Kevin Gausman I don't think is that bad. And obviously, if you guys have any free agents that you want me to look at, drop them below. I'll definitely take a look-see. So in terms of Kevin Gausman, he had a great season too. 14-6 record, 2.81 ERA. 1.04 whip, 227 strikeouts, and just shy of 200 innings. That's pretty good. He has a nice split finger that really dives well. Has a nice drop to it, 3.2 inches. That's pretty good. You don't see that every day. Gives up some hard contact. Okay. I mean, he plays on the West Coast, so that makes sense. Chase rate is there, 92 percentile. Strikeout rate, 85 percentile. He has a nice combination of the fastball, mixes his pitch as well. Fastball, split slider, split finger, changeup, and the slider is good. Not bad. So he's kind of like a Chris Paddock a little bit, not going to lie, with that pitching arsenal he has there. He increased the changeup a lot this season. Really good to see. We see his delivery and his windup works pretty well. The fastball gets to the plate pretty quickly. I mean, he's given up a lot of hard contact, which is something, but on the other hand, he's limiting walks, striking out guys. A lot of contact that's being hit is fouled off. The home runs, I mean, the long ball is not much there, which you think is good because he plays on the West Coast, so you think with the Bay it'd drag the ball out, but he had a pretty good season, Kevin Gausman. He's 30 years old, so both of these guys are 30 years old. He was drafted by the Orioles. I did not know that. Yeah. So obviously didn't have, I guess, the complete worst. He had a pretty good season. Definitely hoping he could definitely do it again. And if he can, I think the Mets will definitely be in talks with Robbie Ray and Gausman, but I think Gausman is probably going to stay in San Francisco. They got something working over there. They have a lot of veterans. Crawford, Belt, Posey just retired. They're going to want as much young prime players as possible. Robbie Ray, Blue Jays need pitching. If they lose Steven Matz, I don't know how that's going to go. Hyun-Jin Ryu may not be reliable as most of us thought, so we're going to have to see. We're gonna have to see. Quentin, what's going on? Appreciate you tuning in. Do the Phillies scare you because they are only a center fielder and bullpen away from being good? That's a good question. Yeah, in my opinion, Phillies had a really big bounce back season. I mean, they did what any team would like to do with the trade deadline. They were struggling with their pitching, their bullpen. They got Kennedy. They got Kyle Gibson. Two guys that, I mean, realistically were two big guys that were potentially to be traded. Kyle Gibson eats up innings, Ian Kennedy, and we saw Ian Kennedy prevented blown saves. We saw there were a lot of times where Girardi had in Hector Neris or Jose Alvarado, bases loaded, 1 out, 9th inning, scoring, whatever, is on second base. And then, you put in Ian Kennedy and he shuts it out. So it really goes to show Kennedy probably could have at least saved a solid 5-6 game for the Phillies, and he did. So really good to see for the Phillies. Yes, we'll see. They could. Honestly, I think the Phillies could definitely be a pursuit for Conforto. They definitely need an outfielder. We know that Harper is really one of the big guys out there. So I could easily see the Phillies going after Michael Conforto. I think they can easily go after Starling Marte. If you want to talk about Nick Castellanos, if he's the DH, I think Castellanos is more of a DH in my opinion. You have to look at it like this. Castellanos, single percentile in OAA, negative defensive runs saved. That doesn't look too good on paper. He's not good defensively, but he has a great power bat. I think he's the DH. So the Phillies could maybe throw him out there. I'm not super great on the metrics and the geographical part of Citizens Bank Park, but I really think the Phillies could definitely be something in 2021 or 2022. It's just the pitching. If they go after pitching this offseason, I really think they do. I think the bullpen is something. Yeah, I mean, if they sign at least 2 solid bullpen guys and an adequate enough outfielder, whether that's a Marte, Conforto, they could easily be a very scary team. But you're just going to see, is the bullpen going to blow games? Eric says, Mets fan with a San Francisco Giants hat. Yeah, listen, I'm a hat guy. Where do you think Baez will end up? And thanks for these streams. Nah, man, thank you. Appreciate you tuning in. Where do I think Baez is going to sign? I think he'll probably realistically sign with the Mets. I think you have to look at it. Baez, obviously, I think he seems to want to stay here. I know him and his buddy Lindor, which adds something to itself. I'm not super crazy about their relationship. I just don't want that to create distractions on the field. So that's my kind of big question with the Mets. It kind of comes into chemistry play. Unless they're going to bring in, a certain manager, whether that's a guy like Beltran to kind of ease the chemistry with those guys and try to unite the team, because it was very divided this season. We know in my last streams, I talk about the McNeil and Lindor choking altercation in the dugout. It was a complete joke, an embarrassment for this team, in my opinion. Otherwise, really much of a joke. Baez overall, I think he really provides something solid for whatever team he goes to. He's a great power hitter, something the Mets lack besides Pete Alonso. He can hit for the opposite way. He really can. He offensively really stepped up. His walks went up big time. His strikeouts went down big time. He was being more of a selective, fundamental hitter, something that is great to have in baseball. Defensively, he's pretty solid. Let's look at Javier Baez on Savant. Let's look at his OAA. Defensively, it's going to load. Defensively, 82nd in OAA. That's pretty good. A lot of Javier Baez's errors are throwing errors. So, I mean, it's like Tatis, Bichette. I get that. He could field the ball well. He just doesn't release it well to Alonso or whoever he's trying to throw at. If, Baez could try and just take his time on the throws, that could be good. And maybe second base, I think for the most part, he played second base to an extent much better than shortstop defensively, I believe. So, yeah, we're going to have to see how that goes. I think that's good. I would re-sign Baez 100%. If he was going to a team like the Yankees, I'd say no. They have enough swinging and miss and power hitters. That's the issue with the Yankees. I would definitely have no issue with the Mets signing Baez. Look at Twitter. I did, man. Nothing on there, my friend. I know that all the hype is on San Francisco. But do you think Henry Senger can be effective? I don't know much about him, and I saw he's playing in the Arizona Fall League. So the only reason I know Henry Senger is because we have the same name. I know he is a catcher, and I think you commented this on the other stream, or someone else did, or it was probably you, because it was who else talks about Henry Senger. I really don't know much about Henry Senger. I know he's like the 15th or something round prospect with the Mets. I don't really know much about him, to be honest with you. I'm going to do some research on him. I know he's a guy who has a cannon of an arm. I know from the offensive standpoint, I think when I read about him a little briefly, he had a little bit of stuff. He had a little bit of stuff with balancing, which you don't see that a whole lot. So that was kind of interesting. He was having balance issues at the plate. I don't really know what that detailed exactly. I'm guessing I don't really know what that was. But he was having some balance issues at the plate. Otherwise, I don't really know much. To be honest with you, all the hype is on Alvarez, and I think it is. I mean, we're not seeing the same thing that Senger is doing that Alvarez is doing. So, yeah, we're going to have to see how that goes. LFGM, of course. Appreciate you guys tuning in. Yeah, definitely. If you guys are just tuning into the stream, smash that like button, turn on those post notifications. If you have any comments, questions, concerns relating to the Mets, the Phillies, the Giants, anything baseball related, just baseball, drop it below. Appreciate you guys, obviously leaving great comments. LFGM just saying hi. Appreciate you tuning in, Jack in the Box. The Mets should try and make a deal with Baez before December 1st in case of the CBA lockout. Well, there are some guys that I think were hoping to make deals before December 1st. I don't know if it is because of the CBA lockout. We know that some guys, I think it was Corey Seager, stated he wanted to make a deal with whatever team he signs with before December 1st. I'm not really sure exactly if that's going to happen. But yeah, I mean, whatever works. Yeah, I mean, if you realistically would want to sign him before December 1st, it's just difficult because you have no GM. Yeah, you have no GM. So, I mean, this is my biggest issue that I've really had is that, Sandy Alderson is going to give Baez. Let's say Sandy Alderson gives Baez, I don't know, and this is not accurate 100%. Let's say he gives him 6 years, 150. Just random number. I no thought into it. Let's say he gives him 6 years, 150. Well, Sandy Alderson is pretty much the manager, the GM, and the president of baseball operations right now, which is a freaking joke in my opinion. Okay? He's going to sign him to that deal. He brings in a new GM, a new president of baseball operations, and a new front office. I believe Sandy Alderson will still stay with the Mets, just not at the executive office he is. I think he'll be in some scouting department or whatever. Okay, he's going to do that. Great. And this is all hypothetical. He brings in a new guy. Let's say he brings in a guy named Joe Smith. And Joe Smith does not like the deal that Baez has. But, he just came into effect this offseason. A lot of the other moves he's going to have to make. Let's say that he doesn't like some of the moves that and Sandy Alderson makes. Let's say some of those moves could be a minor bullpen signing, a trade farm system, a call-up, package. I don't know. What if he doesn't like it? Well, he has to deal with it, and he has to pay them. I don't know. That's my big issue. So that's why I question, should the Mets actually give Baez a deal when we pretty much have no one? I don't know. I really don't know. I think it's a possibility. However, I don't know. It's tough. This offseason is important, and unlike last year, we actually have to land big fish. You're saying the year. Miami Marlins 2003, Phillies 2008, Nationals 2019, and Atlanta 2021. Yeah. I mean, you know what? That's true. And Mets got to make some fucking moves or else we're going to be repeating some of those teams again. And, listen, the Mets already got a drought going on themselves. I mean, regardless of a World Series drought, I'm not concerned about a postseason drought because there's teams that have much worse, whether it's the Phillies. But, you got a World Series drought cooking, so Mets got to start actually playing well. Trey says it's funny how the Mets can't get someone when the Phillies just got a dude from the Rays for assistant GM on the first interview. Yeah, and realistically, I agree with you. It is pretty ironic, but you know what? Who wants to work for Sandy Alderson? I mean, you look at what happened with the Mets this season, and I mean, I wouldn't blame them. Would you really want to come into this crazy pit? I mean, I don't know. Overall, pretty tough. And yeah, that's really all we're going to say. Mets should sign. I think you already asked that. LFGM, of course. Kobe says, who's your number one hopeful signing and for the Mets and why? My number one hopeful signing, I don't really know. It's like third base. I mean, you have third base, you have outfield, and you have pitching. So my number one hopeful signing, I would love a guy like Chris Bryant with the Mets. However, I feel I've heard Chris Bryant to the Mets for like the last, 8 months now, and nothing has actually happened. So why would I believe that Chris Bryant is going to come to the Mets now? Yes, it is the offseason, so it's a different time. I get that. But I won't believe it till I actually start seeing more talks. Personally, I thought Chris Bryant would be crazy to leave San Francisco. I don't know if it's the financial aspect why he would leave, but I think you have to look at it like this, is that the Giants, they got something cooking over there. I mean, analytically, this team really blew up. Analytically, increased greatly. Really did. Gabe Kepler really turned up. this Giants team, and realistically, I think he's going to win Manager of the Year, 100%. He deserves it. On paper, this team didn't look good. I mean, you get Brandon Belt. He's going to bat, 240, hit 35 home runs, which really brings up some of the attention. Regardless if they drive home runs, they just hit well. The pitching really came into effect for them in the first and early second half. It really, really did. Gausman, Webb, really helped them out. My number one signing, though, Carlos Correa, but I don't think that's very likely. I honestly see him going to Detroit. Who do you think the first big signing will be? Around Major League Baseball, honestly, I could see Chris Bryant getting a deal before the winter meetings. Call me crazy. Or honestly, I could see a guy like Corey Seager wanting a deal. I could see Corey Seager getting like 190, 180 million, probably 5-6 years. I could see that. Randolph says, I remember that 1994 season, Matt Williams was chasing the home run record, and the Yankees and Expos were both in first place. Yeah, it's questionable. It would have been nice to see. Yeah, exactly, man. I know you're talking about the strike, and I think you commented this in my last stream, maybe. Yeah, I know. It's really questionable. The Expos were really playing well. I think they were like 20 games above 500. So that really would have been their only shot, and it unfortunately blew. So, watch, the Mets be in, first place and, 2022, and then just the season, there's a boycott or a strike. That would be the Mets thing. Zach Not Cool YouTube, what's going on? Appreciate you tuning in, brother. Quentin says, love Marte as a perfect fit. We need outfielders and we need to add speed, as we saw Baez, how much it impacted our game. And he still hits already. Yeah. I don't know if you heard with me what I said before, but the Mets don't have many people on this team who could steal bags. You got Baez, you got Lindor. McNeil, when healthy, could maybe, shuffle up 10 stolen bases. That's really it. Maybe Alonso will give you 2. Nimmo could probably get you 15, 20 maybe. Otherwise, we see athleticism really goes to, advancing the runner. Advance the runner and score runs. It's the famous Moneyball saying, how do you win games? You score runs. How do you do that? By advancing the runner. The Padres did it. The Rays did it and still do it. And look what happens to them. The Dodgers do it. We see so many games that went into extra innings with the Mets and the Dodgers, the Mets and the Padres, whatever. And the Dodgers, what did they do? They took advantage of the runner on second rule. They bunted, got a sac fly. They got another run. And then, someone else would hit up a home run because, why not? It really changes the game. It really, really does. And that's why I'm really starting to hope that the Mets could try and change their approach. Hopefully. So we'll see. Mets, they need to change their approach. That will be my thing to say. Who do you think is the next big prospect called up? For the Mets, in terms of big, I guess you got Brett Beatty. In terms of MLB, I could see Adley Rutschman getting called up this season. In 2022. Call me nuts, but I could honestly see him getting called up in 2022. Let's see MLB prospects. Let's look at the pipeline and see who's the next big guy to be called up. There's not, I think a lot of these guys, of Adley Rutschman's 2021. Julio Rodriguez, Bobby Witt Jr. I could see. He mashed in AA and then went to AAA quickly. That's really it. I think in terms of top 10 big prospects, I'm probably gonna go Rutschman and Bobby Witt Jr. That'd be pretty cool. Karen, what's going on? Appreciate you tuning in. Good to see you here. Trey says you may need to add more to the big 3-1. All right. Oh, to third base, J-Ram. What do you think it will take to get him? David Peterson, JD Davis, Jeff Vientos, and maybe 2 of those guys. What do you think? And I think you're kind of giving up a little much, not going to lie. Well, actually, no. You're giving up 1 prospect, David Peterson. Oh, you were asking, I have to choose one. Yeah, honestly, I think that sounds like Vientos makes sense. It's either Vientos or Mauricio, and I'd rather give up Vientos, in my opinion. So you give up Vientos. Okay, that's fair. You give up Jeff McNeil. I'd like to keep Jeff McNeil. McNeil, I could easily see leaving the Mets and going back to his 2019 ways, just slapping the ball, getting those BABIPs. He's an above-average defender in my eyes. JD Davis is the guy that I really question, and I think someone actually commented this below him. JD Davis, he had his fair share of injuries this season, did not perform well. Defensively, he is not there. If the DH lands in the National League, I have no issue platooning him off the bench to DH. And, if there's an injury, maybe one day he plays third base. Maybe one day, really just third base, because I don't trust him in the outfield. He had that one good play against Cleveland, and he looked completely lost doing it. So I don't really have any craziness to say with that. So, so that's that. Dom Smith, I definitely want to trade. Dom Smith, there's nowhere to put him. I mean, Dom Smith, there's really nowhere to put him. First base is taken. He could be a DH. I mean, listen, Dom Smith, he really seemed to have it good for him this season. 2020, the short season, he blew up. He had a sleep apnea issue taken care of. He had all of his sleeping issues taken care of. I think that was like the sleeping issue was a big thing. He had all that taken care of, and he didn't perform well this season. So, I mean, excuses. I don't know what else to say. So, I don't really know what the Mets are going to do with him exactly. Dom Smith is a guy you easily think it's trade bait. He can get you something. He's a solid first baseman, I believe, on another team. Whether, I think it could be a great trade package, with Oakland, with Cleveland. I think the Mets and Cleveland are pretty good trading partners right now. So, I don't know. We're going to have to see how that goes. Honestly, I would have no issue trading David Peterson, JD Davis, Dom. I don't want to trade Jeff. And I would put in Vientos. So if you're counting those three, I would potentially see who else we're getting. If we get maybe a guy like Karinchak, a guy who's developing still and could work with Jeremy Hefner and work in the farm system a bit more, I'd be for it. And now Devin says, do you think the Mets should platoon JD Davis in the DH and bench role? Yes, as I stated. I feel people are slandering him for his poor defense and injury, which I get. 130 WRC. Really? That's actually not that bad. I get it. Like, a lot of people didn't really give JD Davis a break. Defensively, he was never there, so I get that. He was injured, too. I'll cut him some slack with that. Defensively, he can hit a fastball, can hit a high-end fastball. It's tough. It's a fastball. You're in AAA. I don't know. I get the chemistry. I get it. And honestly, I don't even think it's chemistry with JD Davis. I just don't think there's not much to do with them. And when the Mets got him from the Astros in a trade, everyone expected him to be a bench guy, not really do much, be a ninth inning, eighth inning defensive guy, play a game if someone has a day off, okay, solid bat. 2019, he really blew up. Smashed 25 homers. Really showed some opposite field power, opposite field hitting in general. 2020, he was okay, pretty solid. And then I think this year, did we really get the real JD Davis that we were expecting? I hope not. I really think the Mets could honestly, hopefully get more out of JD Davis. And I think it's definitely doable. I think the Mets could definitely easily get more out of JD Davis. I just don't know if the Mets are willing to. And partially, I don't know how much I am. LFGM, appreciate you tuning in, Kobe. Zach, not cool YouTube, says, talking about free agency. Yes, sir. Free agent doesn't excite me at all. My favorite team just wants to sign. Yeah, listen, dude, your Royals. Maybe you guys will resign Danny Duffy. I think the Royals still have Danny Duffy, right? Maybe they'll resign him. I could definitely see them re-signing him. You know what? And the Royals are in that weird spot. I'm thinking maybe when Bobby Witt Jr. gets called up, maybe the Royals actually start to give a concern about something. I don't know. It kind of sucks. I feel bad for Royals. They won the World Series and then kind of just went Kaputskis. Everyone left. Moustakis, Hosmer. You guys still have Wet Merrifield, and I think that's really it. Salvador Perez. Royals could easily build, and I just don't. They're given the chances, and they just don't do it. You have a catcher who defensively isn't there, but offensively can rake. Nicky Lopez put up a solid season at shortstop offensively and defensively. Carlos Santana wasn't horrific for them this season. Bobby Witt Jr. should be called up soon. They got something cooking over there. The AL Central is really just the White Sox, and that's it. And do I think the White Sox are the best team out there? No. Are they a good team? Absolutely. But they didn't really have that much fight in the Central. All the other teams finished under 500. Minnesota didn't have a pulse. Cleveland was, hovering around 500. Who else do they have out there? And Kansas City, yeah. So we'll see. I mean, I could see them re-signing possibly a guy like Danny Duffy. I think the money will be something, but we'll see. What's going on, Action Jackson? Appreciate you tuning in, brother. Who is the oldest free agent? Hayden, Royals will sign him. Justin Verlander, probably. So, honestly, imagine they sign Justin Verlander. Imagine. No, Justin Verlander is probably I could see him going to Detroit. Quinn says, have a look at Chris Taylor. Maybe a steal from Los Angeles. 842 OPS in 102 postseason at-bats and plays multiple positions. Chris Taylor, tons of players with postseason experience. There you go. Yeah, that's not that bad. I do like the postseason experience. If the Mets definitely in some way get rid of Jeff McNeil, then you have to go after Chris Taylor. Chris Taylor could pretty much play any position. He could play shortstop. He could play third base. He could play second base. He could play any outfield position. I think the only position he doesn't know how to play is like pitcher and catcher, I think. Realistically, I would have no issue if the Mets go after Chris Taylor. Offensively, he's a guy who, really has some nice pop in his bat. Let's take a little look-see at Chris Taylor. Here, let's take a little look-see at Chris. So he's 31 years old. So I think it's, it depends on how many years you want to give this dude. Stand by. My computer likes to be slow. He had a great season, yeah. And he has some speed. I did not know Chris Taylor was that. Oh, yeah, I think I did know. He is a fast dude, 91st percentile. So he's a dude who honestly, he could definitely be a solid, if you don't have Nimmo, he could be a good, solid leadoff guy. The strikeout rate is not the best. Defensively, he's only in the 17th percentile for OAA. So, that's the thing is if you constantly, throw guys around defensively, it's going to affect them defensively. And that's what happened with Jeff McNeil. And that's why I worry about it with Chris Taylor. Jeff McNeil, he strived well on the right side of the field. Second base, right field. He said he saw the ball come off the bat much better. You threw him at third base, you threw him at left field, not as good. So that's why I question Chris Taylor. I don't know what his natural position is. I don't know what he started off as, probably a center fielder. So if you could maybe shift him to right, maybe put Nimmo in left, or then you could put him in center, I don't know. I still kind of have that worry about Nimmo playing so far back on the warning track. I do have that worry a little bit. He doesn't strike. It's weird. He's in the 9th percentile for strikeout, but then he's in the chase rate is 92. So I'm guessing most of the pitches he swings at are just strikes. He has some speed. He has some pop in his bat. Doesn't have a lot of power, but that's okay. He did mash 20 home runs this season. If he can get his on-base percentage up and maybe a couple more stolen bases, that wouldn't be too bad. But yeah, I'd be for him, 100%. Hayden, the 2022 Mets will be worse than the 2021 Mets. True or false? The Mets were pretty bad in 2021. I don't think they'll be as bad. I don't think the injuries will be as bad. Baez and Lindor be like Andrews and Beltre chemistry-wise. Yeah, I could see that. Another Jeter, A-Rod, Reyes, right? I could see that. Nice little combination. We need pitching. Who do you see the Mets getting? Hopefully I could resign. Hopefully I could see the Mets re-signing Marcus Stroman. That could be something to get. Robbie Ray would be a guy I would like. I don't think it'll happen. Kevin Gausman, again, I don't think it'll happen. I think Marcus Stroman is your best solid pick to re-sign. I would have no problem with us getting some bullpen arms. Raisel Iglesias wouldn't be too bad in my opinion. I think you just got to look at, the free agent marking for pitching is really out there. It's just not super, not guy. There are a lot of them are 4th, 5th starters. You have Justin Verlander. I don't want the Mets to pursue Justin Verlander personally. I think Justin Verlander, the Mets already have Noah Syndergaard to worry about. I don't want the Mets having to deal with another guy from Tommy John. Whatchamacallit? The Mets pitching staff, Jeremy Hefner has a lot to deal with this offseason. He has to work with Jacob deGrom to pretty much find a better way to pitch that won't get him hurt. He has to work with Noah Syndergaard. So I don't pretty much want the Mets. I don't want the Mets to pretty much just have to go out there and trying to get more guys that Jeremy Hefner has to work with. So yeah, honestly, we're gonna have to see how that goes. Stroman's really the best guy off the bat. I have no problem with signing a guy like Raisel Iglesias. I think he could easily be a solid guy. Raisel Iglesias is elite. It just comes to these bullpen arms. Are they going to want the closer role? Does that really matter with these guys? I don't know. We know that was an issue with some guys. Some of them came into our favor, like Brad Hand. That was good. But I don't know. Will the closer role really be a definitive thing that the Mets are really trying to go after? Yeah. Think Baez signs a 1-year deal? Nah, I don't think so. Seahawks with Jose. What's going on, man? Appreciate you tuning in. Noah Syndergaard to the Angels. The Angels have been wanting pitching. Oh, yeah, you're an Angels fan. Yeah, I mean, I feel bad for your Angels, Jose. I mean, they're a team that has it so much. Shohei Ohtani, Mike Trout. If Trout was healthy this season, could have easily got, 90 home runs combined with both of those guys. The offense is there. Joe Adell should be called up soon for them. Nice outfield guy. Nice bat. Defensively solid. Trout, Ohtani, Fletcher, Adell. You got these back to you. You just have no pitching. I mean, Andrew Heaney, Alex Cobb, you got to do better than that. I mean, and listen, they've been saying that, Noah Syndergaard will go to the Mets. Gausman will go to the Angels. Oh, Verlander will go to the Angels. No, they've been saying that for the past 4 or 5 years. If they actually wanted something, I'm not saying they have to go out and get a Garrett Cole like in 2018 or 2019, but they're not. They're getting these rusted down veterans. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. He's not getting a 1-year deal. Talks again with Chris Bryant. I don't know whether to be excited or not. It's always the same talk. Yeah, I mean, I pretty much echoed that. Fernando says, Trey, you're right. Mets are all talk. Even talking to the beer vendors and the guys that make the sausages at Fitty Field to play. Mets need to be aggressive this offseason and can't be wasting time. They should start with Baez and Stroman about extensions. Yeah, I don't know if you heard what I said before about why I don't want that, just because you have to look at it. Yeah, Quinn, I think you did hear me. Yeah, you heard me because I think you commented after that. In regards to, obviously, you have to look at with the Mets. They have no president of baseball operations. So I question, are they going to like the deal? Is the new GM, new president of baseball operations, going to like the deal that is given? LFGM, appreciate it. Terrence Gore, Tim LeCastro, Billy Hamilton on the bench, though. That's a pretty fast team. Can you imagine? Yeah, that is a fast team, dude. Lissa, what's going on? Appreciate you tuning in. Royals have a lot of talent. It's just waiting. That's what I said. Their farm system is up there. I think they have at least 4 guys in the top 25 in the rankings for the farm. Baez was the best hitter for the Mets since the trade. Yeah, besides Alonso, pretty much. Those are the only 2 guys hitting, and Nimmo. I would take Chris Taylor in a heartbeat, 100%. He could be a 20-20 guy. Yeah, 100%. He could hit 20 home runs, steal 20 bags, and that's what I like. Mets, the Mets in their history don't really have many guys. I mean, yeah, they do have in their history, but they don't have many guys in the last 3 years who could easily qualify for 2020, 30-30. Exactly my point. Why did you say in your last video the Mets don't need pitching? They need pitching desperately. Taijuan Walker, Jacob deGrom, Noah Syndergaard, Carlos Carrasco. I mean, they need pitching. It's just, how many guys are there that are willing to go out there? MLB free agents. I don't want Justin Verlander. I stated that. There's just not a whole lot of young arms. The Mets are not getting Max Scherzer. Max Scherzer is going to stay with the Dodgers. I don't think the Mets are going to land Kershaw. I think he'll stay somewhere out west. I think Erod's going to stay in Boston. You got Stroman. Maybe they go after John Gray. You say Kikuchi wouldn't be horrific. He had a solid season. Otherwise, it's all like your Jose Quintanas and James Paxtons and Jose Arenas, and Jake Arrieta is like a lot of the big guys. I mean, Desclafani. I mean, the only guys I would really consider is Desclafani, Gray, Stroman. I mean, those are only realistic shots. I don't see Kershaw coming here. Rodon's going to want a multi-year deal, and that makes sense. And that's risky because he's very injury prone. So if you sign a guy who's over in his 30s, who's injury prone, that's a risk. What are your thoughts on the comments regarding to having not too many pieces to trade? Also considering we have a ton of free agents, I assume where oh yeah, that was with Scott Boras. Yeah, that was pretty dumb. I can see John Gray. Yeah, but that's the thing is like what makes everyone think they're going to get pitching? They haven't done it in the last 5 years. A reunion happening. You heard it first. These streams are fun. I appreciate it, Mark. Appreciate it. Yeah, Mets. I mean Walker. Do you think Cedric Mullins will be traded? I could see the Orioles trading him for the Braves for Christian Pache, Kyle Wright, and maybe William Contreras. Mullins is entering his arbitration. Honestly, it's tough with the Orioles because like they have like 4 or 5 pieces that could really start to make them a team that could start winning ball games. Cedric Mullins overall, I think, honestly, will get some MVP votes. He had a great season, killer defense. Offensively was there. He has power, he has speed, and good defense. Anything of a definition to a 4, to a maybe 5, to a player. Teams would easily want Cedric Mullins. Gold Glover, steal bases, speed, elite. Gets on base a lot. Would you trade him for Pache, Wright, and Contreras? I don't know. Well, yeah, I mean, it's not Rushman, so yeah, I don't have a problem with that. So you're getting Christian Pache, so you're getting an outfielder, you're getting a pitcher, and you're getting a catcher. I don't really know if they're going to need Contreras a whole lot because they're getting Rushman, so unless you use him as a backup. I mean, they could use some right-handed pitching. Why not? And then I think it's really just Pache would be the big chunk of the trade. I think if they get maybe another 2 prospects in there, I don't see why not. I can see Cedric Mullins getting traded. I had him going to the Yankees at the deadline. I thought that would honestly fit pretty well, but it seems it didn't. I don't see the point of keeping him Mullins or not. Yeah, I mean, yeah, pretty much. All right. So we're probably going to call this stream here. If you guys have any more comments, questions, or concerns, please feel free to smash them in the comment section below. Pretty solid stream. I appreciate you guys for tuning in. I think at one point we had like a current high active of 17 people. The party has left a little bit since then, but hey, I appreciate you guys if you tuned in for the stream. For all of it, I really do appreciate you guys tuning in. It definitely means a lot. The channel we will be talking about a lot. It is potentially going to be possible if the Mets, we know that Sunday is the day where MLB teams have the option, and it is the deadline for the free agents to accept or decline the qualifying offer. So in terms of the Mets, that'll really just consist of Michael Conforto and Noah Syndergaard. Conforto has most likely declined it, but like not fully, and Syndergaard has not accepted his. So I find that a little questioning. Him and his agent seemed like they were both on the saying of wanting to come here. So I found that a little odd. Yeah, I don't know. So we're going to have to see how that goes. Otherwise, I will be uploading a video if that happens or doesn't happen. We'll be talking about that. Definitely going to want to do these streams. I'm thinking maybe two or three of these streams a week. The viewerships have been going up, so I really do appreciate you guys for tuning in. I know everyone's retreating out now, so I will finalize my words and finalize my sayings. But if you guys are new to the channel, smash that like button, turn on those post notifications, drop an LFGM or whatever other team you support in the chat. Tell your friends about this channel. Mullins for Dominguez? I don't think that's a whole lot. I mean, I have to do some more research on Yankees farm system. But yeah, otherwise, I appreciate everyone for tuning in. Gonna call it a stream here. LFGM. Till next time, baseball fans. See ya.